Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Burning Abyss deck profile. So this is a really cool deck that I feel like is a sleeper deck in this meta that people should be really looking at, because it is a really cool deck that basically has a lot more resources now that Pot of Avarice has come to 3, with being able to play 3 copies of Pot of Avarice and being able to recycle your BA monsters back into your deck. Just really helps out with this deck and makes it absolutely crazy, especially one of the tech cards that I'm playing in this deck that you guys are going to go, whoa, hey, that works, which is a really cool idea. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description because we got some really cool rewards for you guys, like getting a signed card, getting your name in the description of every single video, or getting to request a deck profile every single month that you are a patron. So without further ado guys, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Farfa, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. Shoutouts to Farfa. So basically what this card does, and all Burning Abyss monsters do, is if you control a monster that is not a Burning Abyss monster, then you this card is destroyed. You destroy them, which is kind of crazy. I really like that ability because it kind of makes them balanced, but if you don't control a BA, then they get destroyed, which can be kind of fixed with Fiendish Tyranno Warrior. But we also have the ability that if you control no spell or trap cards, then you can special summon this card in your hand, which is really helpful because you don't want to set cards in this deck anyways. The majority of the stuff that you're playing in the main deck is just going to be quick magic cards that you're going to be activating, so that's not that big of a deal. But then they all have a third effect, which is the one that you're always going to want to activate. But Farfa's effect is if this card is sent to the graveyard, and then you can target a monster on the field and banish it until the end phase. It also has witty comebacks and great memes. But it has some really cool abilities in this deck, with Beatrice being able to send it to the graveyard during your opponent's turn to be able to disrupt it with her effect. But the really nice thing, the only downside to Burning Abysses is you can't special summon them and activate their effects the same turn. So you either special summon them or you get their effects. So that's something to keep in mind, kind of like Shadalls. Then we play 3 copies of Skarm, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. Skarm is a really neat card and actually developed the entire phrase Skarm, in-phase Skarm, because it has the ability that during your in-phase, if this card's in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, then you can add a level 3 Dark Fiend monster from your deck to your hand. Then we play 2 copies of Libic, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. Libic has the ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you could special summon a level 3 Dark Fiend type monster from your hand, but negate its effects. Basically, this card helps you swarm the field with some of your BA monsters, and it does negate their effects while in the field, but usually their effects are when they're sent to the graveyard, so it's not that big of a deal. Then we play a single copy of Seer, because Seer is still at 1, and basically what this card does, if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to target a Burning Abyss in your graveyard and special summon it. 1 copy of Graph. Graph has a really neat effect that can help you with Seer, and it has the ability that if this card is sent to your graveyard, you could special summon a Burning Abyss from your deck. So which is usually going to be Seer, because then you can loop Seer with Skarm, or Seer with Graph, to be able to special summon from deck, and then special summon back from graveyard, and then use it later as a material and detach, and then special summon another one from deck, which can help you out a lot. Then we play a single copy of Barbar. Barbar really helps out because it helps you burn your opponent for just that 900 extra damage, because you can banish up to 3 BA monsters in your graveyard and just be able to burn your opponent for 900. 300 for each one. 1 copy of Kelkib, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to target a set spell or trap on the field and return it to the return to the hand, which can be really beneficial. For the last BA monster we're playing a single copy, and just 1, because you only really need 1, of Alec. So Alec is just a 1-of to me. You could probably get away with 2 copies of Alec with maybe dropping a single Skarm, but I really don't care for a second Alec. Alec's effect is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a monster on the field and negate its effects until the end phase of the turn. She really helps out, and I could see playing 2, but I really feel like 1 is plenty for me. So I just play her at 1. So that's it for the BA monsters. For the other Fiend monsters that we're playing 3 copies of Fiendish Tyranno Warrior. This card is a pseudo BA monster, essentially, because it helps out with BAs a lot. It should have just been a Burning Abyss monster. But Fiend-type monsters you control, except a Fiendish Tyranno Warrior, cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So it protects them all from destroying themselves if you control another monster besides a Burning Abyss monster. And then it also has the effect of if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, then you can send a Fiend-type monster from your deck to the graveyard, which can really help you out to get some of your BAs to trigger their effects. 2 copies of Tour Guide to the Underworld, because this card is still just at 2. I really feel like she's going to go to 3 on the next coming list. I don't see why they don't just go ahead and put her at 3. But basically this card, when she's normal summoned, you can special summon a level 3 Fiend monster from your hand or deck. But negate its effects, and it can't be used as synchro material, but we're not going to synchro summon with her anyways, or the monsters you're going to be summoning. For the other tech cards that we're playing a single copy of Psychic Wielder, because we do synchro summon in this deck for Bryonic or Trishula, which is hilarious when you synchro summon for Trishula, but you can synchro summon for Trishula using the Psychic Wielder. I just play it as a 1-up because I just feel like it is a 1-up, but it's, you know, it's just a really good card to play at 1. 1 copy of Psychic Tracker. The Psychic Tracker could easily be changed out for another Psychic Wielder if you want to go for 2 Wielder or 1 Tracker and 1 Wielder. I like 1 Tracker, 1 Wielder, because what it does is you can special summon this card as a level 3, or if you control level 3 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position, and if it's used as a synchro material, that monster gains 600 attack. And then the effect of Wielder has the ability that if you control level 3 monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only use the effect of it once per turn. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can target 1 card on the field with attack less than the synchro monster, and if you do, destroy it. Which, if you synchro summon Bryonic with this card, it's going to go up to 2900, which you're probably going to be able to destroy something. 1 copy of Edgem Sabers. The Edgem Sabers really helps out because it just recurs itself over and over again, which is really, really nice. And then for my tech card, I did play this in the last BA build, but this card is insanely good in this deck, and I know it goes with the name, but we're playing 3 Dark Armed Dragon. So the reason we're playing 3 Dark Armed Dragon in this deck is because it's so easy to manage your resources in BA now, because yes, you fill up that graveyard fast, but it is so easy. You're never going to put more than 8 or 10 in the graveyard. It's not going to happen at a given time with the 3 Avarice. And with 3 Avarice, you're never going to banish the cards that you're going to shuffle back anyways. So if you shuffle back cards like your Seer and your Graph, you're not going to banish those anyways with Dark Armed Dragon unless you know you're going to win. You're going to banish cards like your Tour Guide. You're going to banish like Alec, Kelkub, one of your Farfas, Skarm, Libic, stuff like that. So you're not really worried about it if you banish those, so you're going to trigger the Dark Armed Dragon effect. But the reason I like Dark Armed Dragon in this deck is because Dark Armed Dragon is usually that last card that you have in your hand that you throw down on the field, and it's like, and your opponent goes, ooh, because they know they've just screwed up, because you've baited out all their negates with all your other cards that you're using, and then this card kind of goes in and cleans the field up and just helps you OTK your opponent and go after the win. If you have 2 of these in your hand, you're usually going to OTK. If you just have 1, it's still okay. You're probably going to win anyways, because if you can drop and successfully summon your Dark Armed Dragon, you're just instantly going to pop their entire field and then win the game. Then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom as well. The 3 Ash Blossoms kind of help out because they are level 3, but it doesn't come up that often that they're level 3 in this deck. But you can discard them to the graveyard to negate deck shenanigans like them special summoning from deck, adding from deck to hand, or sending cards from deck to graveyard. This card can really help disrupt your opponent. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Super Polymerization. It is a primarily dark-based deck, and your BA monsters do trigger their effects when they're sent to the graveyard. So the Super Poly really helps out in the deck for that reason. And plus, it helps you get monsters off the board. And with Verte Anaconda, this card's insane. 3 copies of Call by the Grave. The 3 copies of Call by the Grave really help out because you don't want to deal with your opponent's hand traps, and so that's why you play this card at 3. 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. The deck is primarily dark, so you're going to be using the Allure of Darknesses quite a lot. Again, you're going to banish stuff that doesn't really matter if it gets banished, so that's why you play this card at 3. For the other cards that we're playing, I'm playing a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial says, hey, trigger any of your BA monsters' effects. And then 3 copies of Pot of Avarice, which is one of the best cards in the entire deck. I cannot believe this card went to 3. But basically, this card lets you target 5 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 2, which makes it so it doesn't even matter that Beatrice is at 1, or that you're playing a single Cherubini or anything like that, because you're just able to shuffle them back into the extra deck and use them again, as long as your opponent doesn't Call by the Grave them, which if they do, it's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world, because this deck is such a utility deck that it's basically just a toolbox to win the game. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Dante. Yes, I am playing the gold rares. If you guys didn't notice, I really like this deck because it makes me think of Golden Abyss, which is really cool because you're playing gold versions of all the Burning Abyss monsters. So basically what Dante does is you can detach a material from him to mill up to 3 cards off the top of your deck, and then he gains 500 attack for each card sent to the graveyard, which then triggers your Burning Abyss monsters. He's arguably one of the best rank 3s in the entire game. And if he attacks, you change him to defense position during the end phase or into the battle phase. And if he's sent to the graveyard, you get to target a Burning Abyss card in your graveyard and add that card back to your hand. So he just helps you recur those extra cards back to your hand, and that's why it's so easy to summon that Dark-Armed Dragon, is because you not only have Pot of Avarice bouncing cards, but you also have Dante, who's a light monster, which he doesn't care anyways. So then we play a single copy of Beatrice, Lady of Eternal. Something to keep in mind about the Beatrices is if you have her on the field, then your Burning Abyss monsters do destroy themselves because she does not have Burning Abyss in her name for whatever reason they decided to do that with. But her effect is that you can either overlay her with 2 level 6 monsters, which is never going to happen, or you XYZ summon her on top of a Dante by sending a Burning Abyss monster from your hand to the graveyard, which I'm sure Dante's all down for that. But her effect is also that once per turn, if this card is summoned this way by using Dante as the material, then you can't activate her effect this turn. But during either player's turn, you can detach a material from her to send a card from your deck to the graveyard, and if this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card effect or by battle and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon a Burning Abyss monster from your extra deck, ignoring his summoning conditions, which is always going to be your Dante Pilgrim, and he is ready to go when you destroy Beatrice. So basically what this card does is it's a really good fusion monster that you're never going to fusion summon. You're always going to special summon this card off of Beatrice, but what it does is it cannot be special summoned except by fusion summon, but Beatrice ignores those summoning conditions. But it can be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and then once per turn, during either player's turn, you can send a Burning Abyss card from your hand to the graveyard and draw a card, which really helps you because it triggers your Burning Abyss cards that are sent to the graveyard, and also lets you draw that extra card, which could be Dark-Armed Dragon, could be Wielder, could be anything to help you synchro summon or go into your other cards. And if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, then you can send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, which is really helpful because it just minuses your opponent another card, because they've already used resources to get rid of Beatrice, and now they're having to use resources to get rid of this, and then they lose a card out of their hand too. It just is a bad time. One copy of Cherubini. This card, if it points to a Burning Abyss monster, can't be destroyed by battle or opponent's card effects. If they would be destroyed, which is really cool. The cards that it points to can't be destroyed by monster effects or by battle, which is kind of cool to protect your BA monsters. And then you can send a level 3 card from your deck to the graveyard, and then target a Burning Abyss monster you control, and it gains attack equal to that monster's attack until the end phase of the turn, which helps them boost up their attack points a little bit, like with Dante and stuff like that. One copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is really good because you just have Walking Negates. Boral Sword to OTK your opponent, which really helps out. One copy of Nightmare Unicorn, just to be able to bounce stuff. Phoenix to pop spells and traps. Verte Anaconda for Super Poly, to be able to fusion summon into your Starving Venom. Number 47, Shark, Nightmare Shark, just to be able to burn your opponent for that extra 2k damage, just in case you go into time with this deck, because this deck does have that many resources that it can go into time. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, because you do it with Super Poly. Mud Dragon, just in case you need to go into the Mud Dragon. Trishula, because you can go into it with Wielder and 2 other level 3 monsters. And a single copy of Bryonic, which is insane in this deck, because you just discard your BA monsters, they trigger their effects, and then bounce cards on your opponent's side of the field, which is really good. Bryonic is one of the best cards in the actual extra deck, and I make it all the time. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. It's definitely probably a tier 2 contender. I don't see it. I think once Tour Guide goes to 3, I wouldn't be surprised if on the next list, like, Konami TCG loves Burning Abyss, and I really feel like on the next couple of lists, we're going to see maybe a Seer or maybe a Graph go to 2. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one of the 2 go to 2 instead of 1. I really wouldn't be. But anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And check out the Patreon down in the description. See you later, guys.